Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a topic that's increasingly shaping our world, often in ways we just don't see. We're diving into algorithmic oversight, basically. How do we build the right safeguards, the right transparency around advanced AI systems, especially before they maybe get too powerful to control? We've got some really fascinating sources lined up for research papers, insights from tech leaders, trying to make sense of this race to govern AI as it evolves so quickly. Our mission really is to explore why this governance is so crucial, where it's maybe falling short right now, and what the research suggests for, the path forward. By the end, hopefully you'll have a clear picture of what's at stake and why it really matters to you.
Yeah, and what's striking, I think, is how deeply embedded these systems already are. I mean, they're influencing the news you see, right? Or deciding on loan approvals, even playing a role in legal outcomes. And yet, their inner workings, still pretty much invisible to most people.
That invisibility. That's exactly the point we need to start with. We talk about algorithms being everywhere, but it's more than just their presence, isn't it?
It absolutely is.
It's their sort of silent agency. They aren't just tools anymore. They're making active decisions. They shape outcomes in ways that, well, we often can't trace back to a specific human intention. Brundage and others pointed this out back in 2020. Social media, loans, hiring, insurance, sentencing, even battlefield systems.
And if you expand on that, as AI gets more sophisticated, these algorithms, which are often like black boxes, they're morphing from just being tools into, well, significant actors in the whole global system, which raises this really critical question. If the scientists building these huge neural networks like Geoffrey Hinton warned last year, if they don't fully grasp how conclusions are reached, then how can we possibly expect to oversee them properly?
Okay, so these systems are powerful actors. Their decisions are kind of opaque. What's the proposed human solution then? Is there like a framework emerging for oversight?
There is, yeah. And this brings us to a really key concept, guardians of the algorithm.
Guardians of the algorithm.
The idea is basically that we need human oversight structures built in at every single level. So across policy, corporate governance, technical audits, public transparency, the whole lot.
That makes sense, like a firewall.
Yeah.
But the sources also mention this risk, institutional capture.
Yeah.
What is that exactly? Why is it such a danger here?
Right. That's a crucial point. A paper from Stanford's AI Governance Center back in 2022 talks about this. Institutional capture is basically the scenario where, large private companies push ahead really fast with powerful AI deployment. And maybe they do it without enough transparency or regulatory checks or even making sure it aligns with what's good for the public.
So profit over safety.
Well, it's more insidious than just that. The issue is their expertise in AI, which we need, right? That expertise gives them this huge informational advantage over regulators. It makes effective oversight really, really challenging. So the guardians are meant to be that last line of defense against that imbalance.
That does highlight some serious blind spots. But on the flip side, don't some argue that too much regulation could stifle innovation, could put regions behind? How do these guardians deal with that balancing act, especially looking at where we are globally right now?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because right now, governance is definitely lagging way behind the tech. I mean, look at the European Union's AI Act. It's probably the most ambitious attempt so far, right? The Commission laid it out last year. But even that leaves pretty big gaps, especially when you look at military uses or these massive general-purpose foundation models like GPT-4.
Okay, so the EU is trying, but gaps remain. What about the U.S.?
Well, in the U.S., there isn't really a single comprehensive federal AI law. It's much more piecemeal. You've got state-level things happening and a lot of industry self-regulation. So you have this tension. The potential benefits of AI are just immense. Bill Gates talked about this last year, faster drug discovery, climate modeling, personalized education, huge potential. But the risks, they loom just as large. Surveillance, disinformation, mass job losses, even, catastrophic misuse. Finding that sweet spot for the guardians between boosting innovation and ensuring safety, that's the real challenge.
And the potential for things to just go wrong, even unintentionally. That's a big piece of this. Even AI tools built with the best intentions can end up causing harm. You brought in a really specific example about U.S. healthcare.
Yes, exactly. There was this widely used algorithm, and research by Obermeyer and colleagues in 2019 found it systematically underestimated the health needs of Black patients compared to white patients. And this led to really significant gaps in the care they received.
Oh.
And the crucial thing to grasp here is this wasn't because someone programmed it to be racist. Not at all. It was because the historical data it learned from already contained those biases. The algorithm just reflected them.
And that is just, it's a chilling thought, isn't it? Because if those historical biases get baked into systems making decisions about hiring or policing, we're not just repeating past mistakes, we're automating injustice on a massive scale, which forces us to ask, without strong guardians, researchers, policymakers, watchdogs, really scrutinizing these systems, how do we stop the errors and biases of the past becoming the automated injustices of the future? You might think, okay, the solution's simple then. Just open up the black box, audit the algorithm.
If only it were that easy.
Right. But that's where we hit the next major hurdle, and this one's fundamentally technical.
Exactly. Modern deep learning systems, especially things like large language models, multimodal systems, they're just so incredibly complex. Even the people who build them often can't explain precisely how they arrive at every single decision. There's research by Ola and others in AI interpretability showing some progress, like identifying high-level features, but understanding the full chain of reasoning, still largely out of reach.
So it's genuinely a black box in many ways.
It really is. And that technical opacity makes effective oversight incredibly difficult. It means we don't just need policy guardians. We actually need fundamental scientific breakthroughs to truly understand and then guide these complex systems we've unleashed.
Okay, so we've got these huge challenges: the technical opacity, the global governance gap, potential for institutional capture, inherent biases. Given all that, what can we actually do to build these guardians? What's the path forward?
Well, one key thing is asking, how do we create governance bodies that are genuinely interdisciplinary? You need the deep tech expertise, sure, but you absolutely need legal, ethical, social perspectives too, all working together. The AI Now Institute at NYU, for example, they called for national algorithmic auditing offices a few years back. Offices with real teeth, the authority, the resources to demand transparency, to test systems for bias and safety risks.
That makes sense. What else?
Secondly, global cooperation. It's just non-negotiable, really. Unlike, say, nuclear arms, AI doesn't need rare materials or giant facilities. This race is happening in thousands of labs all over the world, so no single country can effectively impose safety standards on its own. It has to be coordinated.
A truly global effort.
Yes. And thirdly, and this might be the hardest part, we need to cultivate cultures of responsibility within the AI research community itself, a culture where thinking about the long-term societal impact is valued just as highly as, short-term profit or getting the next paper published. It's a fundamental mindset shift that's needed.
So when we wrap this all up, this idea of guardians of the algorithm, it's not some distant sci-fi concept, is it? It feels more like a moral imperative for right now.
Absolutely.
As AI capabilities just keep surging, our future, whether it leans towards, incredible human flourishing or, frankly, catastrophic collapse, it really seems to hinge on whether we can collectively build the institutions, the norms that hold developers truly accountable.
It's like Bill Gates said last year, AI is like nuclear power, huge potential for good, huge potential for harm. Our job is to maximize the good, minimize the risks. And Geoffrey Hinton's warning echoes that the clock is ticking. The systems we're building now might very soon outpace our ability to actually control them.
A sobering thought. So here's something final for you to chew on long after this deep dive is over. If our future is going to be governed by algorithms, who then governs the algorithms?